Okay, so as I just showed you the dimensions here, this is a good size fridge. So you do want to make sure that you've got room for it in your vehicle, whether it is a truck or an SUV. My thought is I'm getting ready to switch to an enclosed cap setup. And so then I'll have plenty of room for this fridge. These drawers are going to come out of here. So I'll have plenty of room for this big fridge, but then I could literally go on a 2, 3, 4 week trip and keep pretty much everything that I need, drink, food, condiment wise, in this size of a fridge. And having a true dual zone that allows you to do like a fridge and a freezer is really nice for longer trips. So now that I've kind of shown you the dimensions and everything, let's dive into all the features of this fridge. First and foremost, these clasps are really super simple, stainless steel, but they work extremely well. You can actually see them pull the lid closed. We've got some really nice rubber grommeting in here that sits right down on those lips. And then when you pull this down, it actually does cinch it down and it gets super tight. So it's keeping all that cold air in, not letting anything come out, which I actually like how simple that is. Now I'm going to open up both sides and kind of show you the setup because of course your compressor is here behind the control panel. So before we open it up, let's look at the control panel. Because it's a true dual zone, it's going to show you what's the left bin, which is, of course, the left bin looking at this display panel, and then the right bin, which is the side with the compressor. Then you've got a max cool or a minimum compressor speed, so you can adjust whether you want it to just get as cool as possible, as quick as possible, or if you want to preserve your battery. Now, this will cool down in just 15 minutes, so it does have a fast cooling option, which when you got it on max, it will do. Now, I just set it to minimum because I'm running it off of a power bank right now to demonstrate this for you guys. So it does have 3 levels of battery protection from low, middle to high. Obviously, if you were using your starter battery or something and you wanted to be very cautious, you would set it to high. Now I'm using a power bank, so I don't really care if it eats through the power bank. I just want it to run the fridge, so I've got my battery protection set to low so that it's not going to turn off until the last possible second. But still, it's going to know when your battery starts to get too low, and it's going to do its best to protect your battery from getting completely shot. So that is the display. Super simple. I really like that as well. I will show you how much power this thing is pulling. So it is pulling about 60 watts right now. It usually pulls between 40 and 60 on startup when it's going through fast cool mode. And then once it gets going, of course, it's going to shut itself off. Now today it is a little bit colder, so it's probably not going to run all that much. So I'd have no problems running this thing for quite a while, even off that battery bank. I would recommend running something like this though off of like a dedicated dual battery setup, something like a LifePo 4 battery, at least 100 amp hours, maybe 200 amp hours might even be better. That in the hot summer when it's going to be running a lot will still give you days of use without having to worry about your battery going flat. Now it does come with an AC plug and a DC plug included, which is really nice. One other cool thing though is that they did put a 50 amp Anderson plug in here too. So if you had, again, say a dual battery setup and you wanted to run straight from the dual battery into an Anderson plug, you could plug this in via Anderson as well if you preferred. So just another 12 volt option, which is nice. Now it does have these 2 USB ports on it too. So if you needed to charge small electronics and you've got your fridge plugged in, you can pull some of that power and use it to charge small electronics like phones or, you know, things like that. Now on the sides here, you've got these stainless steel handles. I like that they're so small and flush, so they don't stick out a ton. They do have a spring-loaded mechanism so that it keeps them pulled in so that they don't get caught on things. They'll stay in towards the fridge when you're not carrying it. And then when you need it, of course, you just pull these out. Makes it super easy to lift. Now I will throw the weight of this fridge up. Again, because it's a bigger fridge, this isn't something you're going to want to be throwing in and out of your vehicle. When this drawer system goes away, I plan to mount this probably on a slide over here on the driver's side so that I can slide it out over the tailgate, access the fridge while I'm working on cooking food and stuff on the tailgate over here. Again, this is around a $500 fridge. So for 65 liters of space for about $500, that's actually a really good deal. And right now, I think because this is a brand new fridge, they're running some specials on it. So again, I'll put a link in the description below. Definitely check that out to see if you can get a better deal on it. But this thing is pretty great for the money. So let's open it up now and kind of take a look inside. So this is the left side bin, and one thing that I really like is both sides have these simple LED lights, and they actually do put out a pretty good amount of light to light up the whole inside. But on this side, you've also got dual layer baskets. So you can take this first layer out, then you've got another basket down in there. I find, in my experience, most of these, they try and be just as cheap as possible. They put one giant single basket in there, right? But then you still have to stack all your food up. So let's say what you needed is on the bottom. You've got to go through this entire tall, big basket of food to get to what you need. Versus with this, again, you can separate it. Or if you did have big stuff, you can take one of these baskets out, just use the bottom basket, stack your stuff up, put your taller stuff in there. It gives you some flexibility, which I really like. I mostly take smaller things. I take things like Pops, Cokes, sodas, whatever you want to call them, depending on whether you're from the Midwest or not, beer, that kind of thing. And then I'll take some condiments, some ketchup, some mustard, and usually like hamburgers, hot dogs, that kind of thing. But if you wanted to run it as a true dual zone, you could set one side to a freezer side. Now, this is the compressor side. So as you can see, this shelf here is where the compressor is. And then you've got this space down in here. So again, if you had some taller stuff, if you wanted to put some ice cream sandwiches or something like that in here, you could do that. You've got another LED light over here. But again, between these two boxes, you've got a ton of space in here for almost anything that you could want to store in a fridge. All right, now on the top here, you do have 4 little indents for pop or water. So you could use this to set things on. It will just kind of keep it from sliding off. So if you had some drinks or something that you wanted to throw on top of it, you could do that. Again, if it's mounted in the bed of my truck and I had this thing pulled out and I was working on cooking dinner or something and I had a beer and I wanted to throw it there, it's just going to keep it from sliding off if I'm not quite level, which is just a nice added touch. And you've got 8 of those between the 2 lids. Now, one more nice thing that I wanted to point out is that they do have an extra plug down on this end, so you could plug in on either end. So again, based on your setup, if you needed to plug in on the left side, you could do that, or if you needed to plug in on the right side, you could do that as well. But I like that they give you both options because, again, because of the size of this fridge, if you had an SUV or something, you may only be able to get your power cord to one side or the other, but it gives you some flexibility in how to power the fridge. All right, guys, so just to give you an idea of the sound, I literally have my phone right up against the side of this thing. They say it's under 35 decibels, and I mean, it's whisper quiet standing here. I can barely hear it. All right, guys, so that is everything.